Aloha, little treasures. I am sitting out on the porch at the White House and I'm thinking about Hawaii. I know I can't go there, but I could put on some flip-flops. And I have this super cool Hawaiian scarf that's like, I don't know, 50 years old that I found at a garage sale. And it says Hawaii on there. So even though I'm still sitting in the White House, I'm in Hawaii in my mind. And I wanted to give a shout out for Aunt Haley tomorrow. Tomorrow's her birthday. And I wish she could go do something fun, but I know she's with the family she loves. And that they will make it the very best birthday that they can. The story today is called The Three Little Javelinas. The Three Little Javelinas? Let's see what this is all about. Is that Ryan, Katrina, and Haley? Maybe they're the three little Javelinas. Once upon a time, way out in the desert, there were three little Javelinas. Pronounced, okay, Rosie, Javelinas. They were wild, hairy, southwestern cousins of pigs. Their heads were hairy, their backs were hairy, and their bony legs all the way down to their hard little hooves were very hairy. But their snouts were soft and pink. One day, the three little Javelinas trotted away to seek their fortunes. In this hot, dry land, the sky was almost always blue. Steep purple mountains looked down on the desert where the cactus forest grew. And soon the little Javelinas came to a spot where the path divided, and each one went a different way. One went to Indiana, and one went to New York, one went to Redlands. I don't know. The first little Javelina wandered lazily along. He didn't see a dust storm whirling across the desert until it caught him. The whirlwind blew away and left the first little Javelina sitting in a heap of tumbleweeds. Brushing himself off, he said, "I'll build a house with them." And in no time at all, that's just what he did. Then along came a coyote. He ran through the desert so quickly and so quietly that he was almost invisible. In fact, this was only one of Coyote's many magical tricks. He laughed when he saw the tumbleweed house and he smelled the Javelina inside. A tender, juicy piggy, he thought. Coyote was tired of eating mice and rabbits. He called out sweetly, little pig, let me come in?" "Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin," shouted the first little Javelina, who had a lot of hair on his chinny chin chin. "And then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in," said Coyote. And he huffed and he puffed and he blew the little tumbleweed house away. But in all the hullabaloo, the first little Javelina escaped and went looking for his brother and sister. Coyote, who was very sneaky, tiptoed along behind. The second little Javelina waited for miles among the giant cactus plants called saguaros. They held their red, ripe fruit high in the sky, but they made almost no shade, and the little Javelina grew hot. Then he came upon a Native American woman who was gathering sticks from inside a dried-up cactus. She planned to use these long sticks called saguaro ribs to knock down the sweet cactus fruit. The second little Javelina said, "Please, may I have some sticks to build a house?" "Ha'au," she said, which means yes in the language of the desert people. Ha'au. So when your mom asks you to clean your room, I want you to say, "Ha'au." When he was finished building his house, he lay down in the shade. Then his brother arrived, panting from the heat, and the second little Javelina moved over and made a place for him. What a nice little sibling. Pretty soon, Coyote found the saguaro rib house. He used his magic to make his voice sound just like another Javelina's. Little pig, let me come in," he called. But the little Javelinas were suspicious. The second one cried, "No! Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin." "Bah!" thought Coyote. I am not going to eat your hair. Then Coyote smiled, showing all his sharp teeth. I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in. So he huffed and he puffed, and all the saguaro ribs came tumbling down. But the two little javelinas escaped into the desert. Still not discouraged, Coyote followed. Sometimes his magic did fail, but then he usually came up with another trick. The third little javelina trotted through beautiful palo verde trees with green trunks and yellow flowers. She saw a snake sliding by smooth as oil. A hawk floated round and round above her. Then she came to a place where a man was making adobe bricks from mud and straw. The bricks lay on the ground, baking in the hot sun. The third little javelina thought for a moment and said, "May I please have a few adobes to build a house?" "Sí," answered the man, which means yes in Spanish, the brickmaker's language. So the third javelina built herself a solid little adobe house, cool in summer and warm in winter. And when her brother found her, she welcomed them in, brothers, and locked the door behind them. Coyote followed their trail. That clever Coyote. We have a lot of them here. Little pig, let me come in," he called. And the three little javelinas looked out the window. This time Coyote pretended to be very old and weak, with no teeth and a sore paw. But they were not fooled. "No, not by the hair of my chinny chin chin," called back the third javelina. "Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in," said Coyote. He grinned, thinking of the wild pig dinner to come. "Just try it," shouted the third little javelina. So Coyote huffed and puffed, but the adobe bricks did not budge. Again Coyote tried. "I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in." The three little javelinas covered their hairy ears, but nothing happened. The javelinas peeked out the window. Oh, they're so cute. The tip of Coyote's raggedy tail whisked right past their noses. He was climbing upon the tin roof. Next, Coyote used his magic to make himself very skinny. "The stovepipe," gasped the third little javelina, and quickly she lighted a fire inside her wood stove. "What a feast it will be," Coyote said to himself. He squeezed into the stovepipe. "I think I'll eat them with red, hot chili sauce." Whoosh! Sizzle! Oh my gosh. Then the three little javelinas heard an amazing noise. It was not a bark. It was not a cackle. It was not a howl. It was not a scream. It was all those sounds together. Yip, yap, yip, yow, and away ran a puff of smoke shaped like a coyote. Ooh, that's dark. The three little javelinas lived happily ever after in the adobe house. And if you ever hear Coyote's voice way out in the desert at night, well, you know what it is that he is remembering. And there's today's story for you. Hope you enjoyed it. Love you all. Bye.